Welcome to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. I could not be more excited than to have two of my favorite people here today, and I'm just excited to share them with you. So I'm going to introduce Stephanie first. This is Stephanie Banka, and I'm going to do the official intro. Oh. Okay? We're going to act like we haven't been friends forever. That's my sister. So she is the founder of Skrybl, a method that's disrupting traditional journaling and transforming mental wellness through creativity. Her mission to help you set your brain free. I love it because you're blending the creativity and the neuroscience, right?
Exactly.
So we'll hear a little bit about that in a moment, but welcome. I'm so excited to have you
for having
here.
me. I'm so happy to be here.
And then over here in this beautiful gold, we have one of my other favorite people, Miss Brandi Daniels. She is known as the Bougie Nomad. And we're going to hear more about what she's doing, but she's also one of my star students, is what I'll say.
Yes.
One of my star students, one of my primary collaborators in the front of the camera, behind the camera. I mean, you name it, she does it. So this is going to be fun. And we're all homies.
Oh, yeah.
Both of these ladies have attended multiple of my Pure Abundance retreats. And in case I forget to mention it, Brandi is one of the incredible co-authors of our Anatomy of Abundance book. So yay, we got lots to jump into. All right, so the first question that I have for both of you is, refresh my memory. How do you know me? How did we come into each other's lives?
I know.
Keep it brief, all right, snitches?
Should I go first?
Yeah,
Feel free.
go first.
Okay. Well, we narrowed it down. We met through yoga.
Finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't recall the year, but 2014?
13-ish.
15? I was a manager at a yoga studio, and this beautiful woman walked in, and the rest literally is history.
But we actually met, we dropped in, we were like, fell in love with each other's energy, and then somehow we didn't actually connect, drop in, right?
True.
So it was
You
more
kept
in
coming to
passing.
classes.
Kept coming to classes, and I think we reconnected in community. So do you remember, like, when we actually dropped in and locked in? I don't either.
It just was.
I don't either.
The biggest thing that stands out is when I asked you to be a speaker at one of my events. When I really stepped out,
I think that was,
and started creating events of my own.
Yeah.
And to see you on that stage, to see you just be up there being you, it was like, I want to be you when I grow up. I want you in my life, my energy. I want it more.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine a time where you haven't been there now.
I know. And I can't imagine you not being in my life, you and your mom. And so for those of you who don't already follow Brandi, her and her mom are locked in. They are besties. They're bougie nomads together.
Yes.
And together you guys just make such an incredible team in life and in business. So I love that, and I admire that about you. But obviously the thing that struck me most when we met is just that beautiful smile and that energy and the warmth. And so, yeah, I just feel so honored to have you in my life.
Thank you, my dear.
And then we have my bestie, my sister from another mister, Miss Stephanie. I love to hear the story about how we met from you.
I want to hear this too.
She's the best storyteller.
We won't get into we'll keep it brief. We were initially introduced, I think, at the office, I think.
Yes, reggae bar.
Reggae night, Sunday night, through a mutual individual.
Yes.
And at that time, I was definitely also taken with your presence and your energy, and I thought, oh wow, she's so interesting. I definitely want to check in with her again. And then things just kind of happened in life, and we would sort of circle around each other through. I think you came maybe to one of my jewelry shows that I had, and things were sort of happening. And then I can't remember which happened first. I think what happened first is that you had shared that you were in a space where you were ready to maybe welcome a partner into your life, and so it was about to be your birthday. And I created an Isla Blue bracelet for you specifically for the purpose of calling in soulmate/partner. And I brought that to you. And then Big B came.
Yes.
And the three of us had a lovely day with Big B all together. And then after that, you kept asking me to do social events, and it was always like I had basketball or there was something else going on.
Truth of the matter is, listen, we're getting raw here. Truth of the matter is we didn't want to make the mutual friend jealous or feel as if she was trying to steal her friend.
Yes, well, because there had been an accusation that I was a friend stealer, which is hilarious because in my book, post-modern slavery, you can't own people, so stealing people
But
would
of course, the divine had another plan.
The divine had another plan, and so I was very, a little bit reticent about that and very graceful about that in terms of keeping a distance. And then
I was like, no, we gonna be friends. You don't understand how this works.
So once I choose you. Exactly. So I was just, basketball, I have this because my son was an athlete. There was so much. And then eventually you just got smart and came to one of my workshops. You just brought you and Jordan to one of my workshops, which was a journaling workshop. And that's really where the gates opened.
Yeah.
What was phenomenal to me about that workshop and still is in asking, it was a vision journaling workshop. So it was about, manifestation and bringing forward what you want to, your intentions and what you want to bring to the surface and the forefront. And so I had asked people just to go around and give maybe just a brief intention that they were wanting to manifest. And I said, I'll start first. One of the things that I want to do in this coming year is to be doing these type workshops on an international level, as an international retreat facilitator. And this one pipes up and says, I'll go next. I wanna actually run an international retreat. And so we were like, wow, this is so cool. So fast forward maybe 3 or 4 months later, I want to say, because I think that was like Chinese New Year's. And then you called me in about April and you said, I really need to talk to you about something. Can you come meet me for lunch? So I went to go meet you for lunch. I assumed you had broken the bracelet.
Broken another piece.
Broken yet another piece of jewelry and needed me to fix it. But sure enough, the bracelet was on and intact. And when I came, you said, I have something for you. And you handed me your journal and you had finished your vision journal. And to me, that was just such a testament to the work, to your character. I mean, I'm sure people have finished the journals, but nobody's ever brought it to me to see. And you said, and on top of this, I'm doing what I said I was going to do. You said, I've booked a space for an international retreat in Belize. And essentially, I want you to come facilitate and teach this part because it works. Because it's working. And so from there, I think everything just really became much more, of a daily connection. And then, we fast forward into the pandemic, fast forward the retreat, pandemic, we just stayed super connected. We both, I think, suffered some losses during that time. I know you lost your dad. There was just a lot going on. And we're able, I think, to be really supportive to each other just as parents. And we had so much in common with that. We were homeschooling parents. We were not necessarily traditionally invested in the system in the ways that so many people are.
True.
And I think overall for me, it was just always such a feeling of non-judgment, being able to be completely raw without any real hesitation. And I think also, the bracelet did actually indeed manifest her soulmate.
Yeah.
And, Keely has been such a part of it too. And we just absolutely adore
Keely's
him.
like a part of all of our lives. It's our shared husband.
It's our shared, and it's funny you should say that because I was going to share with you that Mima said the other night. She's like, because somehow Keely came up. I can't remember about what. Oh, she said, are you going to see Keely on the podcast? I'm like, I don't know. He might be working. And she said, he's so handsome. And then Meals said, well, Mima thinks he's so handsome. And
she's in love with him.
Oh my God. And anyway, she's like, and he's cute. My mom absolutely adores Keely. She shows up that way. And they're both from Pittsburgh, so that was already a done deal.
Of course. Well, I will also bring to presence that I didn't just attract my love partner soulmate, but I also attracted my bestie soulmate. So the piece definitely worked.
It definitely worked. Absolutely.
So while I have you on the mic, I did prepare a couple questions, and I was like, I need to have them here so that I don't forget them when we get to cackling like we do, right? So one of the questions I wanted to be sure to ask is, how do you view the power of creative visioning as a tool to remember who you truly are, especially for high-achieving women who have lost touch with their inner artist or inner dreamer?
How do I view creative visioning as a part of, I'm hearing, returning to who you are. Remembering. It's so different than, usually it's asked in a forward way. How do you see it as a manifestation tool or as bringing things in? I think the simplest way to say it, and I've developed a few practices for this that I'm very intentional and disciplined about, particularly my daily journaling habit, I would say for me, creative visioning is the return to self in a way, because without it, I'm not sure we know ourselves fully. And I think for me, I've often put a lot of emphasis on the external or the forward or the future in terms of visioning or intentioning. And something that I've worked at a lot more in the last few years, just by happenstance, that I think is actually a far more maybe effective tool, is looking at, so let me slow down for a minute and step back. So if there's something that we want to do, so for example, I want to be more creative in my life. That's one of the visions, let's say, that somebody has. I think very often what we'll do is we will put up pictures or think of visioning around like, well, what does it look like to be creative? And what am I wearing when I'm creative? And what am I driving when I'm creative? And where am I living when I'm creative? I've really pulled it more towards me in the sense of, what is it that I have to do then to be creative? So instead of thinking of the car you're driving to be creative or whatsoever, it's what daily practices are we instilling in order to return to our...
It's an embodiment.
It's an embodiment.
You embody a creativity.
Absolutely.
It's not something that is external.
No.
It's more of an intrinsic embodiment that you're modeling.
I think so, and I think it ultimately penetrates and is really an aspect of everything that I do. I mean, when I think about it,
you are creativity.
Yeah, with parenting.
Literally.
Yeah, and I don't even know that I knew that until the last few years. Maybe 5 or 6 years. But when you ask people what do they associate you with, and they keep coming back with creativity, you have to look at it. And I think for me, it really is. It's in my parenting, in the way that I parent. It's in the way that I problem solve. Yeah. It's in the way that I friend. It's in the way that I gift. It's in the way that I work. It's in the way I live. It's in the way I eat. And prepare food. It's in absolutely true. Everything. And I would argue, in fact, or assert that that's true for all of us. And that maybe we're not really recognizing that creative spirit is running through us when we're working, when we're problem solving, when we're parenting. And I think sometimes when we're feeling like we're not being successful or achieving what it is that we want to through whatever means, it's okay to just step back for a minute and say, hey, how can I creatively address this? And I think that's when things start really opening up.
I never thought I was creative until we became friends. And you're like, everybody's creative. Bullshit. Like, and it's true. I'm glad I asked that question, because I never really thought about it from that perspective. But even like the Anatomy of Abundance framework, it started off as 3 steps to awakening, right? And the first steps was, who are you? The second one was awakening true self. And the last one was creativity. And I know that it's creativity that has allowed me to be as resilient as I am, because I am so creative. I can think outside the box. I'm innovative, and I can recreate myself over and over and over again on demand because of the creativity. But we're not taught to think about creativity in that way. And creativity has probably gotten a lot of people out of a lot of binds.
Yeah, and in fact, today you're just starting with a new sort of like, we were talking earlier about some of the ways that you're presenting yourself in the world in a more like in a creative way that's a little newer. It's interesting that you said that, because I've been deemed as, strong, like if I hear strong
all the labels you no longer want to adapt
exactly.
or be identified
exactly.
with.
And resilient is one of them, but
Yes.
I'm not sure that I'd put together until you said that, because I'm hugely resilient. And I'm not, and I don't know that I understood until this very moment that the underbelly of that is 100% creativity. That's why I've been able to survive what I've survived. That's why I've been able to flourish.
You're seeing things through a new lens, right?
Really,
a lens that someone else may not have been able to see.
Exactly. That's a really good way to look at it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, my love. Miss Brandi. I'm really excited to dive in here.
I'm really nervous.
Don't be nervous. Take a deep breath. It's just 2 friends in her living room having a chat. And so I really want to just go there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go there because we have been on such a journey together. And you've not only been a part of my team, but you've also been client in different aspects. You've come to the retreats, but you also served at the retreats. You were a part of the book. You've come to masterminds. But I want to talk specifically about the last Mastermind! Because the freaking transformation, girl, from when we attended that mastermind in Solana Beach a little more than a year ago,
Yeah.
to right now has been flipping mind blowing. So I don't want to tell the story. I'd like for you to frame the story from, the book and being invited to be a part of the book, and just kind of what that journey of your last year, maybe year and a few months has been.
Yeah, I would want to go back at least about a year and a half, because being a part of the book first, like that whole experience was next level.
It was an edge.
It was.
You were like,
Yeah.
I don't know. and my ass was like, you can do it. You're doing it.
Exactly.
We're doing it.
And I feel like so much of our relationship is that, like,
Yes.
you pushing me.
Me being
you,
bossy.
You
can say
in a
that's
loving
fine.
way. But it's like, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And from you, it hits differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it still terrifies me, but I also feel like, but if Patrina thinks I can, maybe I can. So being a part of the book was amazing, because it really, it was something I've always thought about. I've wanted to write either my own book or be a part of a book, but it never went more than that, you know? So stepping out and then being a part of that community, the women you had a part of that group, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so many of us still talk today. We're still in communication. And it's just that in itself, like, I will always have that on my resume. in my bio. You know, it's always going to be a part of me. Mm-hmm. But I also, at the same time, felt so much imposter syndrome from that book, from my part in the book. Just so much came out of that, where it was like I was in this space where I finally started to see what I could do, where I could go, and yet I still felt stuck. Right? And I love that you were talking about creativity just now, because I also started thinking like, oh, okay, creativity, resiliency, it does go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And there were so many moments during the past year and a half where I just felt like I had lost my creativity. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I could not figure my way out. As creatively, as logical, like there was nothing. And so when it came time for your mastermind, I was excited. I love being a part of whatever you're doing. But I remember sitting there during this one particular part and just feeling so uncomfortable in my skin. Mm-hmm. I literally had to get up. I was pacing the room. Mm-hmm. I was like sitting between the table and like a balcony. And I had literally positioned myself where I was like more on the balcony than inside the room, because it was
slowly escaping, essentially.
Yeah. And it became hard to breathe.
Yeah.
And there was just so many thoughts going through my head, so many emotions. Just at that moment, I think I had just reached that point. Mm-hmm. And I just remember bursting into tears and just being as vulnerable as... Actually, honestly, I don't think I've ever been that vulnerable.
Yeah, you went there, and it was so beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And I just laid it all on the table, and I'll tell the audience too. I don't mind now, because it's a part of my story. But I was brutally honest in where I was. That I was not only not making money in my business, I was extremely unhappy. Mm-hmm. I was depressed, and I would say almost every part of me did not want to still be here. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to make it to the next day. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I felt like there were so many people that if they heard that, I would let them down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and just going through my life, it's like I've always been that strong, resilient person. That was happy, bubbly. That can't be Brandi. Mm-hmm. No. And it just all came up. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, the next thing I remember is just everyone in that room gathering around me.
Yeah.
And you saying, we're going to the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's time for a baptism, essentially.
A cleansing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was such an intuitive moment because I'm at the front of the room, like leading this mastermind, and I'm watching your physiology just completely shift. And so I'm like, okay, something's going on. And spiritually, I just wanted to come and, be my mama self and but yeah, when that finally happened and you broke that way, Spirit was just like, take her to the water. And so we literally, I don't even know if you know this story, but I literally grabbed her and I'm like, we're going to the water. She's like, but I was like, I don't care. Put the stuff down.
We're going.
Fully clothed, took her to the water and like
flew down the stairs.
Pushed her to go. And she basically was baptized essentially. And she came out like, it was honestly just like a movie. Like if there were lights, like just,
yes,
she just came out a completely different person. And literally we have seen such a transformation in her life since then. Yeah. And I know one of the things you were dealing with is that your business wasn't making money. So you had how many jobs?
Oh my gosh. At that time, about 6.
Yeah, literally, like no joke. And we're having a conversation one day and I'm like, Brandi, I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're always busy, da-da-da-da. And I think I asked you something along the lines, because it sounds like me, you're working so much. Why are you still broke?
Exactly.
Right? I was like, energetically, financially, like this is not, math is not mathing for me. Yeah. And I asked you a question. I said, so are you even making money? Like after taxes and gas and this and this and that. And somehow we got to the conversation. I don't remember everything in detail, but somehow we got to the conversation where I was like, why don't you just quit? Right? I was like, quit 3 of the 6 jobs, like something. I said, I think you'll actually make more money by quitting the jobs. Yeah. And so tell us kind of what occurred from there, because you did. And then that kept evolving into what you're doing now.
Exactly. It made so much sense. Like I was so in it, or all I could think of and all that felt right to do was just keep moving.
Right. Automatic, right?
Like keep moving, just waking up, doing something to generate $1.
Yes.
Something's going to change. It has to. But after the conversation and realizing how much time do I spend commuting, sitting in traffic, just getting from one place to another, and I could actually be spending more time in the things that are income producing. Right, and worth my time. And so that allowed me to start pulling back and really take stock of, okay, what am I putting my energy into? What am I doing? And creatively, some things started popping up.
Yeah,
and things that I would never have imagined. And the one thing that's always been a constant between my mom, myself, we go back and forth with this, and for as long as I can recall, like I've always known I am a traveler. I want to travel the world. I can't imagine staying in one place too long.
Yeah.
And so it became more of a, how do we travel the world versus how do we make $1 million so we can travel the world, right? Like, let's just put money out of it. How do we go for our dream and start living the life that we actually want? And so things started popping up. Opportunities started popping up. And we had been seeing this woman who was a professional house sitter. And we're like, professional house sitter? That's a thing? Well, she had made it a thing.
Yeah.
And we just loved what she was doing, how she was living. And we're like, oh, okay, this could work. Up here, it all makes sense. Like, you can figure it out, right? But it's like actually pulling the trigger and doing it. That's the next thing. So I just remember I came home from working out one day and I was just like so frustrated again, knowing that I was putting things off again. And I just approached my mom and I said, what if we just did this? What if we just got rid of our place? We sold whatever we don't need and we just did this. I thought she'd be the logical one and be like, you've lost your mind. It was the opposite. And she was like, okay. Why not? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And that was probably the hardest part of all of it.
Yeah.
Because once we released the idea of like, no, we live in this beautiful beach community. We have this great apartment. We have this, we have that. We got rid of all of that.
Yeah.
that was actually weighing us down.
Yeah. You let go.
We let go.
You gave yourself permission to actually live the life you desire instead of what the outside world tells you it's supposed to look like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You also activated like 4 different laws of the universe, but one that I think is really important that we forget about a lot of the time is the law of vacuum.
Yeah.
Which is just the idea, which is a short way to say it, but it's just the idea that when you release, a whole rush of something comes in as well. So by letting go, all of that stuff.
Make room for more.
Yes.
More alignment.
Yes.
Right. And so as you're talking through this whole story, I'm seeing the anatomy of abundance framework in play because that's what we talked about at the mastermind. And remember, we did the exercise where it's like, okay, we have this idea of what we think success looks like and what we need to be successful. Yeah. But we actually mapped it out like on paper. What do I want to feel? What do I want to be doing? Where do I want to be living? Da da da. And remember, we put numbers to it.
Yes.
And so once you have a realistic idea of what it actually takes for you to live that ideal, abundant life, then you can make decisions to support it and start living it now.
Exactly.
And that's part of the reason why I'm like, and I just love hearing the story. And I love watching it unfold. It's just like so amazing, you know? And it also, I just want to say this, it also makes it where it's not just me. Because people look at me and they're like, oh yeah, but you could do that. But no, like she could do that too, right? You could do that too once you decide that you're tired of settling, you know? Yeah. So, so exciting. All right, so I actually want to go back to Miss Stephanie, and I want to hear you in your own words tell us about this incredible technology called Skrybl, because I've watched it evolve and be born, and I'm just so excited for you to share.
It's super exciting. And before I go into that, I just really want to big you up for your vulnerability.
Yes.
Because I think it takes a whole lot to share in the way that you did. And I think sort of the baptism of your vulnerability in the ocean that day, of being like, this is it, this is what it is. I'm really proud of you. And I didn't, she said, I don't know if you know this story. And that's something I so appreciate about you as well, is just the integrity and the confidentiality with which you guide your workshops, your masterminds. Yes. Because probably in sharing, that's not something that you would have been alarmed for her to share with me, but it wasn't anybody's place to share because it happened there. And so
it's not my story to tell. I say it all the time. I get in trouble with my mom all the time. Why didn't you tell me? It wasn't my story to tell.
And so I appreciate you sharing that with me, and it brought tears to my eyes, because to think of you struggling that way, although it's a creative breakthrough. So grateful for it. So thank you for sharing that, Brandi. I really appreciate it. And I adore your mom, who I met before I met you, actually. So Skrybl is I like to call it's a return to self. It's part rebellion, part neuroscience, part creativity. And I like to think of it as a tool or as a technology, although it's encapsulated in a method. It's 6 phases throughout, and you can spend anywhere from 1 minute to 6 minutes per phase, or you could do 10 minutes per phase, so that you did an hour a day if you wanted to. And so you go through these motions, no rules, like no lines, like it's really bucking in some ways traditional journaling. Part of how it evolved, I would say, is it really does harken back to my work at Rosehaven, which is a day center that I co-founded for prostituted women and women who are houseless and homeless, or without homes, I think is what we say now. And I actually was just able to visit about a week and a half ago. We were up in Portland, and I got to visit Rosehaven again. But I had done a lot of journaling work with the women there. And so many of the women were in triage situations, dealing with crisis, God knows, like on any given day, you'd have to figure out like, okay, do we need to get her a rape kit? Let's get the needle out of her arm. Like God knows what kind of things sometimes would be happening there. And yet we still, once a week would take time, sometimes more, to do a creative journaling bit. And at that time, the journaling that I was doing with the women looked a lot like the vision journaling that I do now, and some of those workshops that I lead, where it involves a lot of pictures, some words, and just really putting things on the page for what you want to inhabit, what you want to be. What I found is that many of the women were overwhelmed by that.
Right.
Because thinking about what you want to be when you're in a situation of crisis, and then all these pictures and all this stuff, So while it worked really wonderfully for some women it wasn't as comforting. And so we played with a couple different methods. But one of the things that struck me so much is that women would come back to me over and over again. And one woman in particular, I'm not sure if she's still among the living, she came to me and she said, I just want you to know that this journal was my soul while I was out there. She said, I was soulless. I had to be soulless to survive.
Right.
And she said, I put it in this book and I had it. And something snapped that was just like, this is so crucial. This is such critical work. And I kind of, planted the seed and kind of tucked it away and then, had children, moved to Jamaica, did a lot of different things. I kept journaling. And then I would say about 2 years ago, little less than 2 years ago, I was meditating one day and I had like one of those lightning bolt downloads that people talk about that I hadn't really experienced in that way before. And Skrybl came through, which was SKRYBL, and it came through as a full download. I couldn't see all of the pieces of it. I could see that it was 6. I could see that it had, these different elements. I wasn't really sure of the order of them. Yeah. I hopped out of the it literally shook me out of the meditation. I hopped out of the meditation. I quick jumped online. I found like anything even remotely related, Skrybl.com, et cetera, et cetera. It was all available, much to my surprise. And I just began the long and arduous task of unraveling what this method was. And so I've had the opportunity to share it with a couple. I shared it with Women's Wellness Network, had the opportunity to share it in a couple of corporate settings. And all of that was pre me actually having the method fully solidified. Yes. So now the method has been solidified.
Was it New Year's?
We did. And that leaned a little vision journaling as well. But now it's really made itself real, and it has become very like concrete in these 6 different steps, and all of them are built on the next to really start the process of rewiring the brain, tapping into the subconscious, rewiring the brain. Now, what we know about it is that it looks as if, and so far, I'm soon going to have data to show this. It is. When you go into the Skrybl method, it is hearkening on and pulling on some of the same brain waves that are associated with meditation. So for somebody who's scared of the dark, for somebody who can't go quiet, like I'm thinking of women in trauma, or anybody, trauma informed or dealing with trauma, this is a bypass to receive the benefits of flow, of meditative consciousness and like brain waves, getting into theta, getting into alpha, through doing something that isn't as daunting as maybe big pictures. And really, it's so minimal. Like really all you need is like a pencil and a pen and a piece of paper. So I like to call it unbound creativity, because it's not necessarily even bound. It's something that you can do without a bound book. Yeah. And I know that a lot of times a bound book can be scary for people to start, because then they're like, oh, now I've committed to this book. It's intimidating.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, so it's a way to really support people in accessing flow, neuro wellness, and creativity in a somewhat non-traditional way that maybe won't stop them up. Like if you go into corporate and you want to support people in some of this stuff, they may not want to use crayons, or they may not want to use paint, or they may not want to get messy. And this is a way to start to really enhance the cognitive wellness and the brain waves that elicit better problem solving, more creative ideas, innovation. And so it's exciting. It's been really awesome, and it's ready to roll, and I'm
that's my favorite part.
Launching in September, hopefully possibly October at Rosehaven, which is the space that it all really started, and I just spoke with them about that a couple weeks ago. Full circle. I have a couple sponsors, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take it corporate. I'm ready to take it into mental health genres. I think it could really work in rehabs. I think it can really work amongst a lot of different therapists that are working with folks. It could be a tool that they can use. So ideally, we're working on getting it in its phase for licensing and all those kinds of things. And it's the most epic thing besides my children that I've created yet.
I'm so proud of you. And the timing on it, right? The timing. About to be an empty nester.
My youngest is leaving for college. It's like perfect timing to really start hitting the pavement with this. So I'm super excited.
Get to fully now pour into you and your dreams and all of the gifts and the talents that you've been blessed with, which is exciting. And I know you try to hide, but I know I'm not going to let you.
Yes, and there'll be no more hiding moving
No more
forward.
hiding.
No,
Yes.
I'm excited
New
about
season.
it. Yeah, it's new season,
Yes.
and it's also, you know what? I'm a channel. It's not me. It's
Exactly.
I'm the vehicle for this thing, and so I've got to be present to be able to get it out there to the hundreds of thousands of people that
I'm proud of you.
have it.
And I feel like we kind of have made that breakthrough, because even though I'm very like out there in public, y'all know, because you're in the inner circle, that I do struggle, or excuse me, in the past, I was struggling with visibility still. Like Brandi would be like, you should be doing more videos. My marketing girl over here. You should be doing more videos. You should do lives. And I'm like, Brandi, you make it look so easy. It's not easy. Like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I definitely don't.
And so I've been resisting it. And since I took that 10-month, 11-month pause, and I've decided to fully step back into my purpose, I feel like a whole new freaking person. I don't know what happened internally, but like even this, the podcast, like I'm doing solo episodes, I'm doing interviews, and it was such an edge. And Ask Pat, the owner of this studio, he saw me struggle that first couple of recordings, but I'm embracing it and I'm stepping into it. And I think that that's just the energy that we're in right now. So with that said, I want to transition so we can start to wrap this up in a pretty little bow. And I want you to tell me what's next for you all. Like, what are the visions that you're now feeling confident and courageous and audacious enough to step into that maybe a year ago you would have been scared crapless, like hell no, right? So share that with everybody, because I think today we've really brought presence to possibilities and how quickly your life can change with just a decision or acceptance or releasing, right? And just gaining that clarity. So whoever wants to share.
Well, for me, it's stepping into. Oh, let me back up. So I've always believed in the power of collaboration, and partnership, and yet it's something that I preach to clients, to everyone else, but I haven't really used myself.
Yeah.
And so I am fully stepping into partnering, collaborating on a much bigger scale. So with my mom and I and our new traveling vlog and service and business, we're looking now to finally start reaching out to hotels, to resorts, to retreats, to brands, and developing those partnerships, because we realize how powerful we are together, and what an amazing brand we've built. Being mother-daughter.
Without even trying.
Right.
Exactly.
Being traveling all over the world.
Yeah.
We started this year by spending a month in Asia, and that's just the beginning. We have, oh my gosh, 7 more countries to go before the end of the year. So it's like, we're doing this. We don't have to wait until, no more of that.
Yeah. No.
No.
I said last night, I had a speaking engagement last night, and I said to the room, I was like, the world's going to hell in a handbasket anyway. You might as well do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
This is the time to like do and be and have everything that you're desiring.
Exactly.
It could end tomorrow. So I
And
got
I
a little
just-
dark there, but
No, but it's true. And I feel like I have spent so many years just waiting until.
yes.
And it's like, no, this is it now.
Yes.
We're ready. We're here. We're doing it. What more proof do I need? So I'm just feeling even more confident and ready to just really go out there and start doing what I want to do.
yeah.
More
Why
yellow
not?
dresses. More
I love
yes,
it.
we love the videos. I love the videos, the swing and the dresses and the
Yes.
so good.
And you missing?
Well, I think just to riff off this, and I think, yes, I also preach collaboration and partnership. And although Patrina and I have done some of that, there's so much more that I can do, right? Like
For all of
obviously-
us.
Yeah, for all of us.
Next level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's time. And so I would say, well, first of all, huge inspiration, because I'm close to my mom and I'm super close to my daughter. And with her leaving, which is really the next big thing, these next days are just all about that. I think it's a return to self, but it's a return to self that I've never been before. So I'm coming to meet somebody that I hadn't been, because I'm not who I was before I had the kids, right? And so that'll be it is becoming an interesting journey. I would say one of the big things for me is really stepping into my feminine essence around business building, around receptivity around that. I really was a part of hustle culture for so long and really tied into that masculine form of manifesting. And so I think, and I'm hearing this with you too, I think that's tied into the waiting until you're ready piece as well, because like the feminine trusts that it's already there for me, you know, and so waiting till I was ready. I mean, in some ways that made sense with the Skrybl thing, because like I said, I just did my last like crossed T's and dotted I's probably in May on that. So it really is a full blown method. So I might not have been ready before that. But in saying that, I also have recognized that with this particular project, I have had more patience than I've ever had in my life for anything. And I think that's just built upon other entrepreneurial pursuits and other businesses that I've been involved in have taught me greater and greater patience. And the best example I can give you is that when I used to journal, I would read about people who journaled and did creative journaling, and they would talk about how they had 3 or 4 or 2 journals going at one time. And I'm like, that's insane. I'm like, my OCD would never let me have that. And now I have like 17 journals and I'm totally okay with it. And I'm working on whichever one at whatever given time. So I think it's about holding a much more robust space for the abundance and really leaning into the receptivity, because I don't feel the urgency, although I'm ready to get this out there in a big way. I don't feel the urgency to like chase it or hustle it in the way that I have with other businesses. And interestingly enough, like the opportunities flow and fall. And one example, even just today, I was driving here and I was thinking about it like, okay, maybe I'll have a chance to talk about how I'm like leaning more towards the more feminine aspects of my energy in business, and which is about receptivity and receiving. And I'm in the line at the drive-thru for coffee, and I see this cute little sticker on the back of this card that says, "Hey bestie, I know you're going to let me merge." And I'm like, "Oh, I love it. This is so cute." And I'm looking at it and I don't even realize it's taken like 7 minutes, and I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" So I pull up and I go to get, and I'm going to like do my little points and do it. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, we can't take your points today." And I'm like, "Is the machine broken?" And he said, "No, the person in front of you bought your coffee." And I was like, so this is just such an energetic example for me of when I am in a space to receive. That's precisely what happens. I wouldn't have seen the opportunity. I would have taken a left turn and gotten gas first instead of whatever it was that made that possible. So for me, it was a true icon, an energetic icon of what is to come, of what was to come with this podcast, of being in a space where I'm so receptive to the opportunities that really have been wanting to get at me for quite some time, and now I'm ready.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.
So Skrybl to the world.
Skrybl to the world. To the windows.
To all the area codes.
Yeah, I mean, this really is a time, and you just confirmed it. No more performing, no more pushing, no more proving your worth or being validated externally. This is a time to really show up in all your fullness, own who you are, be audacious, be different, take up space, and align with everything that we're meant to have, all of the abundance that we're meant to have. So, 100%. I mean, so what better way to end this podcast? This was so much fun. I thank both of you for spending your time with me today. I'm excited for the after party. And if you're a part of the private podcast, you can join us in the after party. But otherwise, we will see you. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Patrina Wisdom, Living Room Wisdom Podcast. And watch us on whatever channel you prefer. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're there. But definitely come on back where your story is your glory right here, Living Room Wisdom. We'll see you next week.